I played about an hour and a half, 2 hours of Cursed to Golf, which is this new roguelite with the bolt-on for this being that, hey, you're playing 18 rounds or 18 holes of golf. And it's one of those, unfortunately, great in concept, but very, very poor in execution style ventures or games, should we say. It's... First of all, and you know, me and Garrett were quickly talking about this, but the tutorial is incredibly frustrating because it goes on for about the same amount of time that I watched Lord of the Rings, the extended edition.
I heard the tutorial is just an 18-hole round of golf, which is just unacceptable for a golf game.
Goes on and on and on and never stops. And while, like, you know, I would say the presentation of the game, I think it's a, you know, 2D pixel art style game, but I think that, like, the animations and the character designs, I think, are really, really well done, and it has the kind of snappy soundtrack that you'd expect of a 16-bit style looking, but modern style looking game. I think all of that is great. But Jesus Christ, this tutorial goes on forever and explains every single minutia that, like, just doesn't really need to be explained, and it drags stuff out, and you're like, can I just get to the point where I'm actually fucking playing this game?
There is not a single mechanic that this game teaches you that you couldn't intuit in like 2 attempts to swing a ball. It's a golf game. You tap to do power, you tap to do angle, and the ball go whoosh. That's the entire thing that they spent fucking 30 minutes teaching you, with so much dialogue, and like you can fast forward and it still feels like it goes on forever. Like it's like, oh, you can skip all this. It's like, oh good, oh no, it's still teaching me things. And it does what I think is like an unconscionable tutorial thing, where it says take the shot and land it in like a specific area, and if you do like too good or too slightly bad a shot, it's like, no, take it again. And I'm like, go away, just let me play the video game. Stop hand-holding me, stop dragging me backwards, stop giving me text boxes, stop making me repeat things. If I fail, I will learn, I will do better. Nintendo did not put a stomp the Goomba prompt in Super Mario Bros. People goddamn worked it out, because they're not stupid. Like, if this was your first ever video game, if you're like, I bought my Nintendo Switch, I opened my Nintendo Switch eShop and I bought Cursed the Golf. If this was your first ever game, having never touched the medium of video games, you'd work it out in 30 seconds. You do not need a 15-minute tutorial for a golf game. You don't. Even with the card system. It's like, press a button, choose a card. And they're like, oh, there's different kinds of cards and you have to teach you about the cards and you have to choose the cards. It's like, just shut up. Just shut up and let me play the game. Like, I was a captive audience for this game because I played it while on an exercise bike, and I put it down twice while exercising. I prioritize exercise over this video game. That's how annoying I found this tutorial.
Oh my god.
But you know what? Even with all of that, that's not the most annoying thing about this game. The most annoying thing about this game is that, like, when you want
existence. No.
When you want to start like a new, you know, round of 18, there's like, you're in your caddy, right? And you can either go left or right. Now, you know, logic dictates when you play any game, you usually go right to progress. If you go right, it will take you to the driving range, so you can just practice in like some procedurally generated driving range. You actually need to go left to then start like the kind of like overworld thing where you start the first level. But you go left and then you're actually going right to then start the first level. So the 3 or 4 times where I'd start a new game, I would always go right, which is take me to the driving range. I would then have to come back out of that to then go left to get into the overworld, to then go right to start the fucking first level.
Very intuitive.
That is...
Oh my god!
At first, when you were describing it, I was like, "Oh, Mark's getting annoyed about nothing." But now you've outlined that. That is just, it's one of those things that is kind of like small, but because it's small, it's so easy to just get it right. Yep. And not have it be that fucking annoying. And then you have that weird sense memory thing. Like I work in a building where, you know, there's 2 sides that are exactly the same, but they're on opposite sides of the building. And on one of those sides of the building, the push is to open the door, and then the other side of the building, the pull is to open the door. And I cannot tell you how often that fucking catches me out. And having to just think about that, you're like, why would they not just make both sides the same with the push and the pull? So I'm fully on board.
And the thing is, even if you get past all of that with the tutorial and the stupid fucking going right then going left or whatever, the game itself is it's okay, but I wouldn't exactly say it's something that sticks with you. I think that the visibility, like the amount that you can, the real estate of the screen that it gives you to see where you're trying to hit your shots is not particularly great. I find that the actual like movement, so it does the two things where first of all you kind of like the bar goes back and forth and you have to determine how much kind of power you want with the shot, and then the kind of aim goes up and down, and then you kind of do it that way. And it goes so fast, like when you're trying to go up and down, that more often than not, if I'm trying to do like a precise shot, I will miss it. And now there's a special card you can use to go back, but you can only use it one time. I would just much prefer if it just allowed me to line up where I want to do the shot instead of doing it like this kind of automated fashion.
I love that, like, when you think about conceptually that automated thing, it's like, what's he doing? What's your character doing that it's like swinging up, and is he like swinging around and around and around, and that's, you just have to choose when he hits it? Like, what's the logical rationale for like that way of doing it instead of just like choosing the angle you want to do the shot?
Like, imagine if you was playing FIFA and you was taking a penalty, and the way that it would work is that it would just wildly swing left or right, and you just have to kind of like, right, that's where I want it. It just like I don't know if it feels like if it was like you could manually place your shot that it would be too easy, but the system just does not work.
What annoyed me when I watched some gameplay of it was that you couldn't zoom out.
Yeah, that's the thing. You do not have enough real estate to see where the fuck you're actually trying to hit your shot.
You have to use the thing to sort of guide where your shot's going to land. And like a normal golf game, you might zoom forward onto a fairway to see where your ball's going to land, but you do that for like a second. There's so many things in this game that are populating the like generated environments, like enemies and like whooshy things that whoosh your ball up and whoosh your ball to the side, and there's like rough and all sorts of stuff like that you know, you have to really move the thing around, and it looks like it is laggy and takes ages to get to the point where you can see where you're going to go. Why not just simply allow people to zoom out? I don't get it.
The key thing, like the core loop of this game is that you're trying to escape like purgatory, and so you have to complete this like 18 holes, and you'll get out of wherever the hell you are. So the idea is that if you get to like hole 3 and you run out of shots, then you go back to the first hole and you start again. And you only have a limited amount of shots to work with. So the fact that you have like so many times, the reason that I would end up dying is simply that because the combination of the automated aim and the fact that I couldn't see where the fuck I was trying to hit it, I was just losing shots because I just didn't feel in control of where I was trying to hit and where I was trying to hit to. And, I'd hit a wall or I'd hit the rough patch, whatever the case may be. And just after a couple of attempts, I was like, this is not a fun experience, and it's a good concept, but the execution is just all over the place. And like, there is no part of me that wants to try and get through 18 holes of this, try and get through to the fucking end of this. And I put it down, and I don't feel like I'm inclined to go back to it anytime soon.
Yeah, the number of shots you're ultimately hitting that you're shooting blind it's absurd. How did they design this game this way? And you can look ahead, to where it is in theory going to land, but as you're taking the shot, you can't see that. That's like, how do you design that? Because like all of these games, they have to have one simple idea. Like they have to feel good to play. And that's the basic of a roguelike. Like, if you were going to make me do this thing over and over until I feel satisfied to do it, like, finally complete it, like a Hades, like a Dead Cells, you have to make it feel good. It has to feel good to play golf. It has to feel good to take shots. And this game just doesn't do that. It's frustrating. It's one of those where it's like, all right, if we made it a normal golf game where they could control the shot and see where they're shooting, it would be too easy. So instead of, like, making a better game, we just made it like less player friendly, and that's stupid.
It is not hard to do a good golf game. Like, it is a very straightforward thing.
I don't know. Nintendo seemingly can't do it anymore.
Well, the golf in those games are fine. They just fuck it up.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Yeah. Exactly. The actual golf in Mario Golf.
Or the ability to fucking run, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and not the ability to just play through a proper 18-hole tournament on all of the areas.
If you actually just play a game of golf in that game, it's perfect. It's good golf. They didn't fuck up the mechanics. Well, when they added stuff to it in the story that does fuck up the mechanics. But like the 3-click golf system is like timeless. It goes back to like the NES. It's not like this is new. We've worked this out for 30 years.